Happy New Year and welcome to NFL Live Before Lock. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I am here with EMac, your old pal. You can find him on Twitter at EMac DFS. And this show is sponsored by Owner's Box. If you haven't already signed up for Owner's Box, now is a good time to do so because we still have the slate for tonight. We have the Showdown slate on Owner's Box. Probably looking at some overlay. It's been overlaying basically every slate. So go check it out. You can, if you use the link in the description of this video, when you sign up for Owner's Box, you will get your first deposit matched up to $500. It's not going to be immediate. It's going to be a drip bonus that you're going to get over time. But on top of that, you're also going to get a couple of free contest tickets, which you will get immediately. One of those being a $5 Lightning Lineups contest, which is basically a cash game. And then the second being to whatever $5 contest you want to play of your choice. And it's a super flex contest for the main slates, not for it's Showdown, so it's a little different here. Anyway, go check out Owner's Box. You must be 21 plus to play in most places. And if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. EMac, fun little week 17 going on here. How is
I don't know. My hair is disappearing because of the hat behind me. Should I or because of the light behind me? Should I wear a hat today?
Yeah.
Nope, the hat disappears too. There we go. I just got to reposition here. The virtual background's a little tricky there. Perfect.
John says the Rams clinched a playoff spot. Is that true? Did they clinch? I thought they like their chances increased, but I didn't think that they.
Yes, the Seahawks lost. The Seahawks lost.
So. Oh, so that's what they needed to clinch. Wow,
I believe so.
That is not good for me, EMac. I had been working under the assumption that the Seahawks were going to make it for my playoff best ball lineups. I was drafting a lot of the Seahawks, and everybody else was drafting the Rams, and they had like a 52% chance of making it. The Seahawks had like 70-something% as of according to the things that I was looking at. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to draft the Seahawks instead, and apparently that was a mistake. So hit me there. Are you a Seahawks fan? Am I remembering that right?
I am. I grew up in Washington State, so. I was in second grade when the Seahawks came into being.
Okay.
And the Mariners. I went to the very first game in the Kingdom for the Mariners.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Fun. I also went to the very last game in the Kingdom for the Mariners.
Look at you. Well, my
brother and I wanted to get tickets for Safeco Field at the time, but we couldn't because we wanted to take my dad. So anyway, long story short, there we go.
I believe they did. The Chiefs just need to ice this now, right? It's only a minute left. They're up by 8. As I was telling EMac before the show, my online friend who I got to meet in Arizona a couple weeks back, Shady Advice, is currently winning Best Ball Mania 3 for $3 million. So I've been sweating that all day, hoping that he can pull this one off. I think there's still some things that can go wrong in the night slate, but the biggest thing that he was sweating is Pacheco needed like 2 more points to pass him. And I think at this point, the Chiefs aren't going to run. Yep, Patrick Mahomes kneels. So he no longer has to worry about that, just has to worry about whatever's going to happen in this game that we're about to start talking about. We should probably get into this slate though, EMac. We've got nearly an hour. We've got plenty of time to talk about it. But we should get into it anyway. Start talking about these quarterbacks. We got the Vikings going up against the Packers. Skol, Vikes, although I don't even know if I want them to win at this point. I don't know. EMac, tell me about what you're doing with these quarterbacks.
All right. Well, I'm trying to get our tweet out here. Okay. One more moment. So there we go. Let's put the tweet there. All right, gamers, what do we got? A hairnet. I do not have a hairnet on. I could go get one if I wanted to. Actually, and I also have the window open because I was trying for the shades open because I was hoping to see fireworks, but there have not been that many. But we could get fireworks in this game, Neil, as I bring us back in. So here's the rundown on the quarterbacks. Jordan Love, we had him ranked as the QB 13 on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Do you know who he was behind?
Like on the whole week, I guess.
No, just one spot behind somebody else in this game.
Is it Jaron Hall?
How is that possible that Jordan Love is behind Jaron Hall? Well, we're going to talk about that because it's rather interesting. So I didn't get the inactives yet. I'm assuming Dontavian Wicks is out.
Yep. I did see that. Let me
Christian Watson. I mean, neither one of them practice. Let's go.
Yep, and Jordan Addison
is active for. Yep. Oh, Christian Watson is out. Dontavian Wicks is out. Caleb Jones is out. Devondre Campbell, the linebacker, is out. Brenton Cox is out. That's Green Bay's. No Josh Dobbs for Minnesota. No Naylor, and then a bunch of offensive and defensive players. I'm assuming. So we'll get to that in just a second. So anyway, the interesting thing about the Vikings They have the 7th best passing DVOA. Did you know that University of Washington's own Jake Browning is the only quarterback to top 300 yards on the Vikings? And that was back in week 8.
Wait, was it? No.
Time. Yeah.
The Vikings have played against Jake Browning twice, or was it really that long ago?
Just one time. No, I'm just saying. Yeah, it was that.
That was all the way back in week 8 when he did the whole like they shouldn't have dropped me or whatever after the game. Man, that feels like it was just like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. All right, no, that's a fun fact. I did not know that.
And that's since week 3. To be fair, they did allow a 300-yard passer early in the season, but it's been a long time. I'm sorry, that was Jake Browning. That was not week 8. Back in week 8, they played Love. And Love got 24 of 41. This game was in Green Bay. 24 of 41, just a 58% passing completion rate, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and he had 34 yards. That was a pretty pedestrian outing. And now he is without Christian Watson yet again and Dontavian Wicks. So he is a little more worse for the wear, but he does have Aaron Jones to help take some of the pressure off. We would like to see, but I was surprised that Jordan Love was that low in our rankings, but it makes sense. Now, when we say that low, we had him for about 16 and a half points, 3 more points, and he would have been inside the top 10 easily. Right? It's very narrow when you get to the middle of the quarterback rankings. It's just kind of interesting. Did you know that since Love lost that game to your Minnesota Vikings, he has had 6 multi-touchdown efforts, 16 passing, 1 rushing, only 3 interceptions.
I did not know those exact stats. I knew that he's been doing really well recently. I didn't
pulled himself up by the bootstraps, and he's been doing pretty well considering he lost Musgrave. Reed has missed a couple games. Watson has missed several games. Now Wicks is out. I think Wicks got hurt last week. He hasn't been half bad. If we turn our attention to Jaren Hall, so he will be starting for the 2nd time this season. He got a concussion 11 plays into his first start and then did not play after that because Josh Dobbs came over in the trade and replaced him. And then they also had Nick Mullins. So Nick Mullins threw for 700 plus yards over the last 2 weeks, also 6 interceptions. That's not good, Neil. That's not good. So he only presided over a 3-0 win. That's all he had in the last 3 games. Also
not great.
Good. So the real question is, Jaren Hall. So I'd like to think and this is where you're the fans. We're going to lean to you on this. But Jaren Hall, 4-year player at BYU. I believe he started the last 2 years. He had a medical red shirt in there in between. He was decent, but he's going to be 26. So he's not the usual 21, 22-year-old that's coming out here. So I'd like to think that gives him maybe a little bit more composure. Plus, conceivably, he was geared up to be the starter. He's been getting, second QB reps, etc. It's just been everybody getting to start above him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, for him, you know what the bonus is? Jaire Alexander is out. Suspended.
That is nice. Yeah, I like that.
He nominated himself a game day captain in Carolina.
I haven't listened to the interview. I saw people talking about it on Twitter, how dumb it was. I have not watched it, though.
So essentially I didn't watch it, but I read. Essentially, he decided he was going to be, as best I can tell, he more or less decided he was going to be the game day captain.
Yeah.
And then he went out, and I think he called the toss. In any event, the Green Bay won, and he said something along the lines of, "We're going to kick." So normally you say we defer or we receive, because if you say we're going to kick, then the other team okay, well, we're deferring, and then we're going to get the ball both times at the half. So fortunately, Matt LaFleur had told the refs before the game, if Green Bay wins, this is what we really want. And so they asked the captains to clarify what they said. So they got to make it correct.
Wow, I did not know that whole story.
He's suspended. So even more into this, and then guys, we've got plenty of time to cover this game, I promise you. Even more, the coach said that had nothing to do with the suspension. The GM said that did have something to do with the suspension, but there's been a bunch of other crap behind the scenes that is sort of aggregated together to earn him the suspension. He's an all-pro, Neil. He was one of the 2 best cornerbacks in the league last year. And he's suspended in a must-win game. Wow.
Mistake.
So there we go. That's a long way of saying Jaren Hall somehow is ahead of Jordan Love because of reasons. So, yeah.
And what are you doing as far as like stacking? Like if you play him in the flex, if you play him in the captain spot, are you forcing receivers? What are you doing?
Captain spot, I'm making one receiver for each. I'm not forcing it today, partly because of the expense. I figure they'll just naturally come in with some of the cheaper guys. I will see what comes up because obviously I want Justin Jefferson. I'm okay with the variety of Green Bay Packers here. I think it'll be dispersed enough. I've got my rules set up. I just haven't run anything yet. But my intent is at least one, and then if others come in, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before the stream. I'm setting up my rules as we speak.
Yeah.
I'm still debating.
It's more. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying. I think that I am going to require a pass catcher for Jaren Hall when he is in the flex. That was something that we were talking about. I don't think I would if I were doing 150, but I'm only playing like 30. I don't even know. I think 30 or so lineups tonight. So with 30 lineups, I'm just gonna. I think the more likely scenario is if he gets there, it's going to be at least bring along one pass catcher. So I am going to require at least one pass catcher even when Hall is in the flex. But if I were doing 150, I don't think I would.
Agreed. I am going to Reed. I did say yes in the flex. Hall, I did not. Sorry, not Reed. Love. I did.
Love, you do not require a pass catcher if he's in the flex.
I do with Hall. I do not.
Okay, with Love you do. With Hall you do not. Got it. Kevin Watkins, thank you for the reminder. If you are listening, please do hit the like button for one last time in 2023. We'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder, Kevin. Anything else on these quarterbacks, EMac?
No, but I am dropping in some team free money, $1 head-to-heads there in the DK lobby. This is Sunday Night Football, username EMac. I went 14-7 against the unwashed masses yesterday, but I did beat Seth.
Oh, nice. I mean, that's the most important, right?
That's the most important. Seth, Melissa, and Sotex. Those are the ones I always check on. And I have more fun rooting for those. I keep them up on a different set of windows. So that's why I like to do this. So it's fun. If I see the names and I recognize them, I like to say, oh, am I beating somebody? Or, God damn it, I lost to this person again. So
nice. All right, running backs. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with Green Bay, and I just closed my notes, so that is silly. Okay, so quickly here. So running back. So Aaron Jones played on just half the snaps last week, but he did have 23 or 24 carries for 127 yards. Or 21 carries for 127 yards. One target, caught one pass for 8 yards. That was against Carolina. So even though he only played on half the snaps, he still had a ton of work. Patrick Taylor played on about 30 or 40% of the snaps, and then A.J. Dillon played on just 12 snaps. Although Dillon did get, I think he had 7 carries for 12 yards and a touchdown. So when he was out there, he was getting handoffs and running right into the offensive line. But I believe Taylor looks to have passed Dillon on the depth chart, it would seem. I don't think Taylor will not be getting high leverage carries. That will go to Jones and Dillon, which makes sense. I get that. But Dillon's still dealing with the thumb injury. Taylor's at a significant discount. He could be a potential cash game play. So that's why I'm talking about Taylor. We should be excited about Aaron Jones. He is priced almost like an RB1 with a bell cow role. I think that's fair. He's going to get a lot of work when he's out there. And it's weird. They don't seem to have him out there if he's not going to be getting the touches.
Yep. Vikings running backs. We got the whole Alexander Madison returned. Who knows if he's going to take on more of the role or if it's just Ty Chandler at this point. What do you see here?
So here's my take on this. I've hit the over on 12.5 receiving yards in a multiple variety of ways, both on the pick'em sites or on multiple pick'em sites, since I can't sports wager here because I never got around to setting up my account here in Florida for the Hard Rock Casino. But I like that. My notes say he has assumed, this is air quote, he has assumed the lead role, but that was kind of by default because Madison was out. So we want to remember Chandler's not a rookie. He was with the team last year. He had the whole training camp to win this job, and he didn't, to the point that they traded for Cam Akers in the third week of the season, third week of the season. And Akers, we probably would have never heard from Chandler again if Akers had been healthy, right? Which is wild. Now Madison, he's been okay. He's been exactly who we thought he was, right? He's just plodding along and doing his thing. Unfortunately, he can't play the crappy Lions defense like he had, where he made his DFS bones every week. So he is kind of fallen a little bit out of favor. All it's going to take is one boneheaded play, stupid gaff, or whatever, and he could be right in there over Chandler. So that's what we need to remember. Chandler's decent as a pass catcher, so is Madison, but Chandler did kind of seem to have that role. I think he gets the first crack at it, but this almost feels like the Denver backfield, right? Where you've got, it's Javonte, but wait, it's Jaleel McLaughlin, but wait, it's Samaje Perine, right? It's just like, okay, who is it really going to be? It's mostly those two guys. CJ Ham was on the field for 1/3 of the snaps last week. That's about his normal role. And they must have gone empty backfield or just had Ham back there because the other guys, I think, added up to about 80% of the snaps, the two running backs. But Ham has just 1 carry for 7 yards and 9 targets for 7 catches and 25 yards this whole season. He's gotten touchdowns and stuff before. It just doesn't seem to be his role this year. But he's out there more as a blocker. And then you've got Kenny Nwangwu. I can't pronounce his name. Nwangwu. He might get a couple of offensive snaps. However, everybody knows the ball's going to him when he's on the field. I believe this season he has 3. In the last 3 games, he has 3 carries for a grand total of 4 yards. You can't run a gadget play if everybody knows the gadget play is coming. I'm assuming that's what happened. I don't watch the Vikings quite as closely as you do, but I assume it's one of those obvious situations. Like in the mid 90s, third down, they'd always run the draw play on 3rd and 17. They rarely work.
Which player are we talking about here?
Kenny, your wide receiver, or your return guy, the super fast guy.
Yeah.
He's been on the field for like 6 snaps. And he's got 3 carries on those 6 snaps for 4 yards.
Right. Okay. Sorry,
I was setting he's going out there. Everybody's like, "Oh, so you're getting the ball this play?"
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, right. One of those guys. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yep. Plenty of those guys who just they don't play a lot of snaps. Like Taysom Hill, probably the best example of one of those guys. When he's out there, he's probably getting the ball.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on running backs?
No, it's very consolidated, but just know that it's a tenuous spot for Chandler because he could easily lose ground to Madison. The team obviously likes Madison. So,
yeah. I mean, last week Ty Chandler still had the role, but as you said, like it's Madison returning from injury, and like you said, 1 screw up. Definitely not a strong hold on the role for Chandler. But yeah, like you said, I think that we expect him to go out there, be the starter. He'll have the first crack at it. But I don't think they're going to completely he's not going to be the bell cow where Madison's not used at all, regardless of how the game goes. All right. Do you want to talk about some wide receivers?
Absolutely. So looking back to the notes here. So wide receivers are really fun because we've got some moving parts here. So Jordan Reed is playing. And after I wrote this article and posted it, they said, "Oh yeah, he doesn't have an injury tag." I love how cavalier the league is about reporting on and updating these things. Cause it's like, okay, it's Sunday morning. You guys are playing Sunday night. You haven't updated this on Saturday because it's walkthrough day. So we have crappy information. And now you understand why Schefter gets all those overnight tweets, right? It's people it's just a disaster. So in any event, Jaden Reed was limited in practice dealing with the toe and a chest injury. It sounds like he's going to play. He's second on the team with 82 targets. Romeo Doubs is first with 89 targets. How crazy is it that Romeo Doubs, this is his 2nd season, and he is the most experienced pass catcher on this team?
Yeah.
Nuts.
It's all rookies in 2nd year.
Nuts. Yeah. It's crazy. So those 2 guys are 1A and 1B. Last week, Bo Melton popped up out of nowhere, and he ended up with 6 targets. That was just the 2nd time he'd ever set foot on the field in the National Football League. He was a seventh rounder last year, drafted by Seattle, ended up getting cut towards the end of the season or towards the end of training camp. They had him on the practice squad. Ultimately, Green Bay got him on their practice squad. They, did the cut, then re-signed after training camp and all of that. He's been elevated to the active roster a couple times, but he's only played in 2 games. So he is ahead of Samori Toure. Long way of saying that. Melton has 43 snaps over the last 2 games. Toure didn't get any one game and had 7 the other. So it looks like Melton is kind of working his way in. But wait, Malik Heath. Malik Heath is probably the safest option compared to Melton and anybody else who is cheap. He is $1,000 more than Melton, but he's just $3,400 on DK. So he is one of those guys that's going to be in my cash game lineup. I haven't decided which one yet.
You like to do the off the wall like cheap guys in your cash game. It's interesting.
Peyton Hendershot worked out for me last night with his 1.6 points.
That worked out. All right. I guess I don't play a lot of cash.
That's always the goal. I just don't.
Maybe it's optimal.
We'll see. Sometimes I win them all. Sometimes I lose them all. Nothing like getting swept. If we look to FanDuel, Heath is 6,500, which he's 500 less than Melton. So Heath is the easy play on FanDuel between the two. You're hoping for 3 targets. I would say each has a pretty good chance of 2.5, 3 targets, and then another 3 targets is going to them. I don't know who's going to get them.
Okay. Yeah. Looking at so last week we had Jaden Reed out. So you think, I mean, Jaden Reed, I think steps back into that wide receiver 1 role. Would you agree with that?
Agreed. Well, no, Dobbs is 1, but Reed is 2. I
think Reed is 1, Dobbs is 2 is how I see it. I mean, at least that's how our projection has it too. We have Reed projects a couple fantasy points better than Dobbs.
Well, I didn't say who had the better projection. You were saying wide receiver 1 or 2. I say the wide receiver 1. Now we're splitting hairs, but I say that because
very much.
Dobbs has so much more experience with this team than Reed does.
Good point. He does have more experience.
So proportionally, it's dramatic.
Yeah. All right. First of all, thank you to Kenneth, PowerBooks, and of course everybody else. Appreciate the kind words and appreciate you guys hanging out with us when we're doing these shows, because we obviously really enjoy doing these shows. So appreciate that we have an audience who hangs out with us while we do it. Sotek says that my mic is hot. It is distorting a little bit. Is anybody else hearing that? EMac, does it sound like I'm distorting to you?
It sounds good.
Okay. Well,
not your usual.
We don't have a producer. Okay.
Yeah. But
we don't have a producer, so even if it is screwed up, neither me nor EMac is going to know how to fix it anyway. So sadly, nothing we can do about it. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, technically, if you need to know, on the settings button and down in the lower left here, if you click on that, there's a gear. If you click on audio, down at the bottom, there's a checkbox that says automatically adjust your mic volume. If you uncheck that, if it's checked, you're probably better off.
It was unchecked. I just checked it. Okay. You think I should keep it unchecked?
I would keep it unchecked, but that's okay. How you can move it. Now you have a much better mic than I do because I'm using the one on my camera. So,
okay. Matt Wilson says you sound delightful. That's all I need to hear. I sound delightful to at least one person. Okay.
Chuck says it's just Neil's groaning when I just talk on and on. We had a pre-show meeting. I have to talk a little bit more because Neil's building out his
he's doing me a favor right now because
teamwork.
I had not set up any of my rules because I was sweating the best ball stuff. I was like, oh shit, I need to get in, start doing my stuff, set it up for Showdown. So he's actually helped me out quite a bit. Appreciate you, EMac. So just looking at like our stuff, looking at last week's snap counts, it's a little bit murky with the Packers because I don't know that we've had like this exact crew of receivers active with who's out. There's somebody's out. Wicks is out. So I think it's kind of a new thing.
And Watson is out. So yeah.
But in terms of projection, we have Reed projected the best, Dobbs second. I think that's pretty clear 1-2 to me. Heath third, as you said, and then Bo Melton. And you were saying that you prefer Heath over Melton, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
And both over Samori Toure.
Yes.
Yeah, that seems.
I don't think I'll get Toure.
Yep. All right. Good. All right. Vikings receivers.
Vikings receivers. So there's this guy who came back after missing 7 games, and he's pretty good, Neil. His name's Justin Jefferson. He's
Best
awesome.
in the world.
Last 2 games, he has 13 receptions, 225 yards, and a score. I don't know how the team was 5-2 without him, Neil. The 2 games they lost were by a combined like 3 or 4 points. I feel for you guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
No TJ Hawkinson. It's a moment of silence for his ACL and his MCL.
Gotcha.
Both of them.
It's painful. I mean, that's the more painful thing to me. I don't care about the losing because I don't expect to make the playoffs, but now losing TJ Hawkinson for next year is the painful thing for me because whatever. Anyway, go on.
All right. So Jefferson, I believe, is the best player on the slate. He will be my cash game captain.
On the planet.
Opinions vary, but I think Jerry Rice could still lace him up and he could show him a thing or two. But
come on.
Jerry Rice is a god. That's all there is to it. He is an alien from another planet.
Yeah, he's also old. He's like your age.
He's older than me, actually.
I doubt that, EMac.
I was a freshman in high school when he was a rookie in the NFL. I went to their training camp. We were driving back from a family vacation in California, and my dad surprised me by stopping at Thousand Oaks in California where they had their training camp at that time. And I got his autograph, and he was a rookie, and he had played it down. And someone said, hey, number 80, sign this for me. Sign this, just annoying woman. And he did. And she's like, who is this? And I said, it's Jerry Rice. He's their number 1 draft pick. He's going to be good.
Wow, you knew even back then. Yeah, you were a fantasy expert even back then.
He wrote his name out like I had notebook paper because it's just the 80s, and he wrote it out all nicely. And then I had like Russ Francis and Freddie Solomon were just scrawls and stuff. Randy Moss was not better.
He was faster for sure.
Who's the all-time yardage?
All right.
I'm dying on this one. I will give up Joe Montana is not Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady, but it's Jerry Rice. But back to today's game. So Jordan Addison was on the injury report, but he is good to go. He has seen his targets fall off the last 3 weeks because, of course, Justin Jefferson came back, but I think he'll end up getting a little more because TJ Hawkinson is out. KJ Osborne has played the 2nd most snaps of anybody on the team this season. A lot of empty routes, adequate target share, 3 or 4 a game. I mean, he'll get some, but just doesn't really seem to do a lot with them. But the team likes him a lot. It reminds me a little bit of Josh Reynolds and Detroit, right? Just out there all the time. Must be probably a good blocker, running the routes, doing what needs to be done, low usage guy, et cetera, et cetera. And then Brandon Powell is your salary relief guy, but I don't think we need to go there. But he is in the mix a little bit. I'd rather take a chance on one of the tight ends.
Yeah, I think that is. Let me see. When's the last time we had all 3 of the starters active with Brandon Powell? Last game.
We argued about him back in October, Neil.
You and I did?
Yes, because I said he was you had somebody that like had popped up on the routes, and I thought
Jalen Naylor.
Remember this.
I don't think we argued about it. I think I was pointing out.
I was right. You were wrong. I mean, it was no real argument there.
Oh man. All right. If you want to take a victory lap in an argument that you had in your head with me, I guess go ahead, EMac.
I believe I played him in my cash game lineup that night because he was probably $600.
Who does the Sims like? Travis, we've gotten a couple questions. In about 15 minutes after I get my lineups in, I am going to throw the Sims up on screen. So I'm going to run the Sims. I'll do it for both DraftKings and FanDuel, and we can take a look at what the top Sims lineups are. But I'm going to wait until 7 Central at the earliest because I still need to get my lineups in before I do that. I want to get my lineups done and then forget about my lineups, and we can look at the Sims. So yeah, in about 15 minutes, we'll take a look. All right, continue on with the Vikings receivers. Yeah, I think I'm with you. We don't really need to go to Powell with Addison back. He did play a good amount last game, but the game prior to that, 3% snap share for Brandon Powell with the 3 starters all active. So I don't think we really need to go there.
No, and that makes sense. But let's include the tight ends here, just because it's interesting. So Josh Oliver has essentially been the tight end too most of the season. He has 23 targets. I don't think his role is going to change all that much with Hawkinson out. The big boost is likely to go to Johnny Munt. Munt has been kicking around for the league for literally forever, right? Remember way back in the day, he played for the Rams, of all people.
Right.
They've each had 5 total targets over the last 3 games, 5 total. I expect each to be in line for 2 or 3 tonight. I think they're both viable plays. I wouldn't want to play them in the same lineup. And this is where we're splitting hairs. Not because I think one's going to be better than the other. I just don't think there's enough dynamic ability here that I'm wasting 2 lineups on. I hope I get a touchdown where one of these could go to Brandon Powell's a bad example. One of these could go to the one of the Green Bay wide receivers who has probably a better chance of getting 2 catches for 30 yards or 3 for 40 than these guys do of getting a touchdown. So that the rule is more about that and not that they're playing time or they're going to take from one or the other. I think they're each going to play about half the snaps.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to set that rule, but yeah, it's just personal preference, I guess, to some extent. And I agree. Looking at last week, so last week we had TJ Hawkins. I actually don't remember when it happened. I think it was in the second quarter, maybe early third quarter.
It was in the first. I think it was the first half.
So sorry, the end of the second quarter. Okay, yeah, that would make sense. So last week we had TJ Hawkinson ran 18 routes, got hurt at the end of the first half. Johnny Munt actually ran 17 routes, playing basically just the second half. So with Josh Oliver only ran 6, which is interesting. Josh Oliver has had a couple, I think, spiky. Maybe I'm just remembering because one of them was on an island game. I mean, he's not. Yeah, I agree with you.
If I'm going from memory, I think he has like 19 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns, something like that. Those are his season stats.
Yeah, and I believe one of them was an island game that we talked about and didn't even talk about him because he was ran 2 routes or something, had two snaps a week before, and then he scored a touchdown. It's yeah, what are you going to do? Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. The DFS gods won that argument, Neil.
That's right. That is true. All right. Any other you're mixing in the tight ends?
I wanted to hit on those because it's all kind of a collection where a lot of people are going to have to step up to help with Hawkinson. So quickly rounding back to the tight ends here for Green Bay, you've got Tucker Kraft has done a fantastic job stepping in for Luke Musgrave, his fellow rookie. He's at a reasonable salary on DraftKings. He is $5,800 on FanDuel. He's about $7,500. That's a great price on FanDuel. We have him projected for 5.1 targets, 3.6 receptions, and 38 yards. Since Musgrave has gone down, he has played almost 95% of the snaps. He doesn't leave the field. I like that. You got to be out there. He's shown to be a capable pass catcher. This is. I think he's a reasonable option, but he's a much better play on FanDuel. But he's not quite a core play on DraftKings, but he's close.
Yeah, 5,800. He's definitely in play, but as you say, I think that the price is about right for Tucker Kraft. Kickers and defenses.
I guess I should throw out there Josiah DeGuara will be on the field for about 10 or 15 snaps. His last target was in week 9. That's all you need to know. And then Ben Sims does have 3 targets in the last 5 games. He'll probably be on the field about 10 to 12 snaps. But I'd rather take a chance with the Packers wide receivers or the Vikings tight ends. When we look at defenses here, Green Bay has 7 sacks over the last 2 weeks. They only have 6 interceptions on the entire season, second worst in the league. Tennessee Titans have just 4. Packers do have 10 fumble recoveries, so they're kind of middle of the pack when it comes to takeaways, but fumble recoveries are incredibly hard. They're not a sticky stat. It's really hard to project. So they're going against a rookie who's played 11 total snaps, but two games, 11 snaps each, 22 total snaps. But as we mentioned, he's almost 26, so he's a well-seasoned rookie. And then, oh no, my article got cut off and did not save the Green Bay receivers or the Green. Weird. So the Green Bay Packers are on defense. There's my answer. Minnesota's a better on field defense than they are fantasy defense. So sorry, I convoluted that, guys, but
no, I think that's a good description of the Minnesota defense.
They're not fantasy friendly, right? I mean, they're top 10 DVOA rushing and passing, but they're just better real life team. Sometimes it just happens.
Yep. Favorite captain, EMac?
We got to do kickers.
Okay.
Kickers, neither one made the top 10 this week. That is a first. Greg Joseph, not great from distance, Neil. 2 of 5 between 40 and 49 this year. Just 2 of 5. 3 of 6 from beyond 50. That's not good. Anders Carlson, his brother's way better. But it was a 6th rounder. He is just 4 of 7 from 40 to 49 and 3 of 5 beyond 50. So he is 7 of 12 from beyond 40. That's not good. They're in a dome. That's helpful tonight. But I'm not really excited by them.
Anders Carlson has revenge in his heart because the Vikings cut his brother?
No. He doesn't like his brother that much.
Oh, is that right?
The only revenge he had was when they played each other. I believe that was on an island game that we talked about.
We did. The Anders brothers Raiders. Or the Carlson brothers playing each other.
With Daniel, right.
Yeah. Who is your favorite captain tonight?
That would be Justin Jefferson.
Makes sense. I like a lot of Jefferson. Do you have a favorite low owned play under 10% own?
I don't know where Malik Heath is coming in or Johnny Munt, but they would be the ones I would be earmarking.
Malik Heath we have at 21%, or at least we do from what I'm looking at. I probably don't have the latest update, but the one before, Johnny Munt at 12%. So I'll qualify Johnny Munt. I think he's close enough.
And then Patrick Taylor would be the other guy.
I think for me, it is actually Alexander Mattison, my favorite. We have Alexander Mattison at 7.5% ownership. To me, that's really intriguing at 4,400, even though I do think that Ty Chandler gets the first crack at. I do think that Alexander Mattison is going to have some opportunities in this game. Only played 4 snaps last week, so I want to be clear. There is no sure thing that that's going to be the case. They might just prefer Ty Chandler that much. But I do think there is some chance that Alexander Mattison was just recovering from injury. Maybe as he gets his footing, they're going to play him a little bit more. So I'm going to take some shots there. Also, obviously, has the contingency value with if anything happens to Ty Chandler. But
would you play them together, Neil?
I think I would. I'm not setting any kind of rule not to. I'm
in the same boat. I don't think it'll happen all that much naturally, but I would do this. I would probably build about 100 lineups. I'll make 10 that have Madison but don't have Chandler, and then I won't worry about the rest.
Yeah, makes sense. We got a super chat from Sam Van Dam. Says, all timers in the spirit of tonight's game, Driver, Jennings, Adams, or Moss, Carter, JJ. Don't forget Jennings scored on Darren Sharper with a broken leg. That's to me, it is very clearly Moss, Carter, JJ. They are, I think, all 3 are better. Maybe.
Is that with Jeff George throwing him the ball?
Did he? I don't know. I'm just saying. Overall, I'm taking Moss, Carter, JJ over Driver, Jennings, Adams, quarterback neutral. Easy. Like that one's to me very clear. I don't think I'm biased either. I mean, I am biased, but I don't think that's the reason that I would very clearly take Moss, Carter, J-Jets over Driver, Jennings, Adams. Do you think I'm just being biased? Do you have an opinion there, EMac?
No, I would go that route. I mean, Chris Carter, all he does is catch touchdowns.
Chris Carter was my favorite player growing up. The sideline touchdowns, can't tell you how many times I practiced that. Then Randy Moss comes in and was just incredible, like a totally different player, but so exciting. And now Justin Jefferson is, in my opinion, the best receiver in the league. I know that there are fair opinions to the contrary, but certainly you can make a case for him being the best receiver in the league. So to me, Donald Driver was never on that level. Greg Jennings was never on that level. Devontae Adams maybe was, but yeah, give me the Vikings all day there.
All right. Sorry, I forgot I had some hockey lineups. I need to I'm just gonna do a little Jesus takes the wheel here because I've got 3 minutes to upload them.
All right, you go do that. I'm about to put let me run the Sims. I'm going to start running the Sims, and I'm going to upload my lineups, and we will take a look at both DraftKings and FanDuel. Take a look at the Sims. So I'm going to start running those right now, and then I'm going to come back to my lineups. So give us a couple minutes, guys. It takes a couple minutes. Let's see.
And if anybody is playing hockey, Carter Hart is not playing goalie tonight. Just if you wonder.
All right, generating lineups. The main contest, what is it to first? 200K to first, I believe. It's taking me a minute to load. $800K prizes, 200K to first. We got 25% to first. Good to know on DraftKings.
Did you see that Lindy tied for first on Thursday?
Oh yeah, he tied with Yeboah, who was not something that he was a totally fine player. He was out there enough, but I did not get to any Yeboah. I was disappointed before seeing Lindy's, because prior to that final 20-yard catch, we had like 6 stochastic avatars in the train that was winning prior to that, and it was Abanaconda was having a big game. Who was one of the guys that I was high on in that game. So he had a few catches. And then of course got totally neutralized by Yeboah. So that was a little bit disappointing for me, but then cool to see that Eric won, and of course Eric Traub also won. So Team Eric, big night that night.
Yeah, Eric had $53 into 20,000.
Yeah, that's a nice night. That's a nice night. Nobody's complaining about that. All right, I've got the Sims running for both sides, or the at least contest being generated for both sides right now. So I will momentarily, I'm going to put it up on the screen, just copying my lineups into DraftKings first while that's running. All right, we've got 20 minutes, right? This doesn't start.
Yeah, we got 20.
So yeah, we have plenty of time. We will take a look at the
just double check
lineups.
Sure it's not a holiday. Yep, 8:20.
All right, let me see if it's ready.
Boy, Jaron Hall really comes in on our projections a lot. Interesting.
All right, now I'm simming. I guess I can throw this up on the screen while I'm simming it. We can talk about it. So let me do that. All right, so this is
Patrick Taylor or one of the team's defenses.
One of the team's defenses. I like the defenses quite a bit tonight. I think could be a great game for the defense. So yeah, it'd be Taylor to me is fine, but I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if he has overtaken AJ Dillon or if it's just that AJ Dillon has the hurt thumb, so they're using him a little bit more, and maybe they work Dillon back in a little bit more. I have no idea. No real opinion there.
Would you play Malik Heath for one of the defenses?
Still probably one of the defenses.
Yeah, I guess that hurts with Reed being back
in. Brian says, "Hit the like while you wait to dupe these lineups." Yeah, it's no, don't dupe these. Get some ideas, but you don't want to dupe them exactly.
I've heard that we're not supposed to dupe me. You're not supposed to dupe me, bro.
Don't dupe me, bro. Come on. All right, so this is DraftKings. Let me just make sure I'm running it on FanDuel before we. All right, so FanDuel. Oh, shoot. Did I do DraftKings twice? I did do DraftKings twice. So I'm going to regenerate on FanDuel, and then we're going to go back to look at DraftKings. My bad.
All right. While you are doing that, I'm putting in 10 more team free money lineups to the DK lobby. I am playing Malik Heath and Patrick Taylor in my cash game.
EMac, I don't love that we're getting so much Brandon Powell in these Sims. You
may need to use that negative ROI boost.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. I mean, we can still look at it first, but
you can even bounce his projections down a little bit. I'm just saying because I've been trying to do the Sims more and more, so I become more efficient with it.
Yeah, to be honest, kind of on
cruncher based. Yeah, I can do fantasy cruncher based off muscle memory at this point. I just did 60 hockey lineups in 90 seconds, so. I can't do that with the lineup with the Sims. I need a little more time. I need to finesse it.
Yeah, me too. It takes me a little bit more. Probably for the same reason that we've just been using Fantasy Cruncher for so long that it is second nature and it takes a little bit. But hang on, I'm going to pull this over as well because I want to see why we're getting to so much, because he doesn't project extremely well for us. We have negative leverage there. I'm surprised that we are getting so much in our top ROI lineups. I guess probably just because not a ton of dupes until we get all the way down here. Allows you to play whoever you want elsewhere in your lineups. But this is currently our top ROI lineup. Has Brandon Powell in the captain spot along with Jaren Hall. So nice little correlation there. We got Jaden Reed, Jordan Love, Justin Jefferson, and then Tucker Kraft. So I think it's just basically like Brandon Powell being cheap enough that you can basically play whoever you want throughout the rest of your lineup is my guess why that is showing up so well in the Sims. I don't know. It's not my favorite, to be honest. But sometimes you just gotta trust the Sims a little bit. And are we just gonna have a ton of Brandon Powell throughout our lineups? Our second lineup, another Brandon Powell captain. Now we have Aaron Jones with Greg Joseph, Jaren Hall. So that correlation again, Justin Jefferson and Ty Chandler. And Jones actually leaving 1,800 on the table. So maybe it's not entirely just because he allows you to get whoever else you want in your lineup. Kind of interesting. Our top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 all have Brandon Powell. So I'm going to take a look at it, like just trust what the Sims are doing first. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to negatively boost Brandon Powell and show you what that looks like if you're not a huge believer in Powell, like I am not, and EMac is not. Yeah, is it Brandon Powell? I don't think so, Super Snort, but that is a good, fair question. Like, is the projection just wrong there? Where can I check that? Projections.
Yeah, if you go into projections, and now we have it, so you can boost them up or down yourself.
True.
Next to the board. All right, but you can see what it is.
We've got him at 3.2 is his projection, 5.7% ownership. So I think it's just an ownership thing because he's coming in so low owned. Obviously, has a wide range of outcomes. I think I'm a little bit more afraid of it than the Sims are. I think that I'm just afraid that he's not going to be out there enough. But maybe he's earned a role to stay on the field even when the three are healthy. I'm just not convinced that he's going to be out there with Osborne, Addison, and Jefferson all there for the Vikings. But currently looks good. Let's see if we scroll down. If you don't want to play Brandon Powell, how far down? I guess here is the top ROI lineup that does not have Brandon Powell in it. It is Jaren Hall in the captain spot with Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and KJ Osborne, all three of the starting receivers. Then Tucker Kraft, the only representative from the Packers, Vikings defense. So that one, to me, this is a great large field GPP lineup. Hall has all the correlation you want with Hall and all of his three receivers in the flex, along with the Vikings defense, and then Tucker Kraft. This is obviously a Vikings onslaught kind of lineup. It works out if the Vikings crush. Next up, another good-looking lineup. Well, this one uses the full salary cap, so I'm a little bit more hesitant with it, but Ty Chandler in the captain spot with Aaron Jones, Andrews Carlson, Jaren Hall, Jordan Love, and Packers defense. So Jaren Hall's only pass catcher in this one is Ty Chandler, which is totally fine to me. I think Jaren Hall does enough with his legs, and Chandler capable pass catcher, so I'm totally fine with that being the only correlation there. Another one here, we got Jaren Hall with Brandon Powell, so he is in this one in the flex, along with Justin Jefferson and Ty Chandler. Then we have Jordan Love with Bo Melton. I guess just those two from the Packers. And then we can look at, I'll pull up FanDuel as well now. So let's see, did that simulate? Who's playing FanDuel? Do you know what the percent to first is? Is it 25% to first? I think I'm just going to run that if nobody says otherwise.
Yeah, just run it at 25.
Okay, I will do that. Good. Curious to see if we get a ton of Brandon Powell again on FanDuel. But while that's
going to be so popular tonight,
you think he's going to be really popular? I don't know. Yeah, he probably will be. He projects pretty well for his point per dollar. Looks really good. So you're probably right. All right. So I got FanDuel up now. This is so FanDuel. We're also getting Brandon Powell in the captain spot. That I definitely have to assume is just a nobody's going to play Brandon Powell in the captain spot, so it's not going to be duped at all. Yeah, you can see 0 dupes here. But then it has Packers defense, Aaron Jones, Jordan Love, and Jaren Hall. So we got that correlation, Jaren Hall to Brandon Powell. We've also got Jordan Love with Aaron Jones, and then Packers defense. Really interesting. So on FanDuel, remember, there is no salary multiplier. So if Brandon Powell is in the MVP spot, he literally needs to be the highest scoring player in this lineup to be optimal. Not necessarily the highest scoring player on the slate, because sometimes the highest scoring player on the slate is cost prohibitive and doesn't work, but needs to be the highest scoring player in the lineup, always on FanDuel. Second lineup, we got Jaren Hall in the MVP spot with Justin Jefferson and Ty Chandler. Then you've got Patrick Taylor and Aaron Jones for the Packers. That's kind of interesting. Only leaves 500 on the table. So I think it would be with more lineups, it would be duped. It's not duped in this one set of 10,000, but I think it'll be duped in the large field contests. But that's kind of an interesting one. Third lineup on FanDuel, we got Vikings defense with Hall, Jefferson from the Vikings, then Aaron Jones, Anders Carlson. Fourth lineup, Justin Jefferson in the MVP spot with Jaren Hall, Aaron Jones with Malik Heath, and Packers defense. But let's go take a look at the exposures for our top 150 on DraftKings. I'm just going to quick favorite my top 150. Take a look at the exposures. So we're getting to the most of Jaren Hall in the flex specifically. We're getting to 59% Jaren Hall in the flex, 50% Ty Chandler in the flex, 41% Jordan Love, 40% Justin Jefferson, 34% Jaden Reed. That's kind of interesting. Only 34% Jaden Reed, maybe a little lower than I expected. Then both defenses getting 30 to 33%. Tucker Kraft, 29%. Who's our highest exposed captain here? Justin Jefferson. So that was your favorite. EMac is Justin Jefferson in the captain spot. We got to 27% in our top 150 Sims lineups. Not a huge
Sometimes you gotta be the chalk donkey.
Sometimes you do, and this Justin Jefferson seems like a good place to play the chalk. Seems like good chalk to me.
All right, I'm building out as requested my 10 lineups with Madison, but no Chandler.
All right. Zach says these are two of the least condensed teams I've seen. I mean, have you seen the Chiefs though? Like relative to the Chiefs, I guess the Chiefs today said they're coming down and condensing a little bit, but man, that's a frustrating team. That's on like every damn showdown slate, and they are just like, okay, can play any of these guys who play 20% of the snaps and hope for a touchdown. I hate that. This to me is much better than the Chiefs in my opinion. All right, what else do we want to look at? So we looked at our top. These are our top exposures. I guess I can go back and do you guys want to see if I do neg boost Brandon Powell? If you are like me and don't really believe in him, I'm just going to go. So what I do here, if you want to see what happens, you can go to ROI boost, and I am going to negatively boost Brandon Powell because I don't like how much I'm getting to him. Interesting. So he's in our top lineups, but then overall just 19%. That's kind of interesting. But I'm going to neg boost him.
It's got to be because of the dupe factor. That's the only thing that makes sense.
That makes sense. So as
are you playing any AJ Dillon?
No, I don't think so. Let me go look.
I'm not either.
Currently I have 0 AJ Dillon. I'm playing Alexander Madison. I mean, it's not that different of a play from Alexander Madison, where it's like the guy who has had a significant enough role, mid price, right, not that high owned. I guess maybe I'm just being a homer going to Alexander Madison instead. Wait, did I do that wrong? Why are we still getting? Interestingly, it has not changed anything. So, okay, there we go. Now we're seeing some. Brandon Powell, but he did not neg boost in the. Hang on.
All right, we go. I'm gonna upload my lineups here.
I think I need to go in and neg boost him in the captain spot specifically as well. Okay, I did not realize. So we got to 6% in the captain spot, 19% in the flex. So that's why that's got it. Here, I'm gonna bring this back to 40%, see what happens. So now you can see what you can see over here. You can see how much you have changed things, you've adjusted things, and then you can see sometimes you'll see that now some of these will be unhearted because then different lineups pop up. Doesn't seem like that is happening.
And you always need to remember to undo it and redo it because that otherwise it's still going to save your favorites until you tell it not to.
So I'm going to sort by best ROI again, and now you can. I still have to go down quite a ways before we find lineups that moved up as a result of moving Powell down. Here we go. Here we got some. Interesting. So you do kind of need to. People ask sometimes like, how do you decide how much to boost? For me, it's completely trial and error. So I'm just going to go back now and I'm going to neg boost him a little bit more because that did not.
Yeah, and I would say when you first start start playing around to do the positive and negative ROI boosts, you want to be careful. Don't go back and redo everything. Just play around with it, even well before a slate starting, and just see what it takes. Because sometimes somebody's right on the border and they'll go right out if you take 5% off of them. Other times you're hammering guys like minus 30% because it's doing the ROI feature to say when this hits on your unlimited time horizon, this you win all the money. You literally win all the money, but it's going to happen very rarely. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it just means for that to come to fruition and you to solo ship.
Yeah. Which is like that is how I play. I definitely play on a longer time horizon than some people do. You see, some people, oops, I did not mean to do that. Some people will play like for the win tonight, and they don't care if it's a $5,000 win or a $10,000 win. I definitely play for the longer game. But you need to kind of choose what you're comfortable with. And Brandon Powell might be somebody who, on as you say, like a super long time horizon, he's going to have some plus EV lineups. But if you're playing to win tonight, not that likely to happen all that often. All right, so this one does not have Powell. Okay, I see. I'm going to unfavorite these now that I have significantly neg boosted Powell. Favorite my top 150 again. We'll take a look at exposures again.
I'm playing 3.4% of Brandon Powell, which is
seems like the right amount. Yeah, that's like about how much I would want.
And that's and this is just, I bring that up not to say what the Sims are doing wrong by any stretch. It's just this, what the Sims are really doing is they're teaching us how to really think about how things go. And Matt said it great on the show earlier today, and he was saying, all the things that we thought you really needed to do, game stacking, team stacking, 2 plus a bring back, all this other stuff, it's not always the case. And it was easier to see and understand, and there was some track record with that. But as more and more of the field started doing that over the last, really over the last 3 years, it's kind of worked out to go the other direction. Additionally, the way the game is being played, no one is averaging. I didn't look this week, but no one's averaging over 300 yards per game. Like, people are barely even close to it. Who is it? Goff is, I think, 7th, and he's averaging like 260 yards per game. That's like his 4th highest of his career. And he's like, oh my God, he's in charge of that awesome offense. The 2 high safeties, all that stuff has really changed how scoring is impacting the game. And it's evolving. So it's just kind of interesting. So those game stacks aren't necessarily happening as often as they once did. And look at the totals this year. The totals have been down multiple points across the board every game. So,
yeah, true.
Calling that out. Who's the captain MVP for both sides? I would put Jefferson number 1, but that feels like I'm playing in my cash game lineup as my captain, and he's my most owned. I have him on 20% of my lineups. Number 2, I would say Jaron Hall. I have him. He is my second most on FanDuel. I think I might go Aaron Jones.
Okay.
As the second one. Jefferson would be 1, but I think Aaron Jones would be number 2. The half PPR doesn't give you it's not as punitive, and that'll be punitive to Jefferson somewhat. And if he gets 2 touchdowns today, that's going to be key.
Let me read off a message I got from Matt Butler, very Butler and Austin, very helpful guy, likes to send messages while he's watching the show sometimes. He's pointed out, says, hearing you talk about Powell, the Green Bay defense is a heavy slot funnel all year, very bad against the slot. Powell is the only primarily slot wide receiver running 65% of routes in the slot, while Osborne is 34%, Jefferson 32%, Addison 28%. Also, Hawkinson ran 52.4%. So that is the interesting note to me. Hawkinson ran 52.4% from the slot last week and 38.2% all year. That is a point that I honestly had not been thinking about. That so we have all the 3 receivers back, but maybe he still plays more. Maybe they just play more receivers with Hawkinson out. So I actually think that is a very helpful note. Maybe shows you one more reason that we might be getting to more of Powell in the Sims is because, that is a good point. Like he typically, so the reason, like, I wouldn't care about the fact that he's, he primarily plays in the slot. They're bad against the slot. except for because I wasn't thinking he was going to see the field. But that is a good point that with Hawkinson out, maybe he does. Like we don't know for sure that he won't. And yeah, Malcolm, you were just responding to Malcolm Revamp's question.
Yes,
for captain. Yeah, I think I agree with Jefferson on DraftKings. I mean, unless you're trying to get like unique. If you want to get unique, you can go to Hall or somebody else. Let me actually look who that would be. In our here, I'll pull that up. So looking up, so I'm on the wrong screen here. So if we look at here on the top single game showdown play, and I'll refresh it. So we have, in case it has, okay, nothing has changed. There's not inactive. So in terms of captain optimal, I'll sort here by captain optimal on DraftKings. Jaren Hall, actually, you see nice positive leverage here on Hall, 15% ownership, 20% optimal. So he looks good. Jefferson, actually, slight negative leverage, still, could be great. Little positive leverage on Jaden Reed. Those are some of the better options. Nice positive leverage here on Tucker Kraft. So those are some of your options on DraftKings. And then, like I said earlier, FanDuel, you don't have any kind of salary multiplier. So it's usually going to be the players that project better, going to look the best. Here on FanDuel, also Jaren Hall, Justin Jefferson, both look great. Where do we have nice positive leverage? I guess Tucker Kraft, again, looks pretty good. Vikings kicker, Greg Joseph, nice positive leverage there. So those are some of your top MVP options on FanDuel. Are your EMac are your lineups in EMac?
My lineups are in.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions before we watch the Vikings dominate the Packers for the one last time in 2023?
No, but go Huskies tomorrow night.
I don't even know if I want the Vikings to win. I can't stop myself from saying that, but I don't even know if it's what I want.
I wanted the Seahawks to win today, even though I don't think they'll make it out of the first round.
Yeah, it's
and they need a quarterback, like your team needs a quarterback.
So. Yeah, I mean, the problem for me is I don't think the Vikings are good enough to do anything in the playoffs. Like I just don't think they have the pieces at this point. So I think I'm cheering for them anyway. I can't really help myself. I don't know. It's earlier on in the year I thought they should tank, and now it's like, I don't know. Yeah, Sotek says, Neil, you want the Vikings to win tonight. They do still have a shot at the playoffs. So you're right. I do want them to win tonight. I want them to make the playoffs. That'll be more fun if they make the playoffs.
Best player in the world. They got a chance to go all the way.
That's true. They do. They do have the best player in the world. Yeah, and as DFS chief, Hall is good. That's a good point. I want them to win because I want Hall to be great. And we haven't seen enough of him at this point. He was looking actually pretty good. The little bit that he has played,
fifth rounder?
Good.
Right,
I don't remember what round he was. Yeah, it was not an early round pick, but it was. You're right. I'm hoping that they win because I want Hall to be awesome. I'm also not going to be able to watch the entire game because I'm about to leave for a New Year's party. I don't know. Maybe I'll convince them to put it on.
I'm having a coffee so I can watch the first half of the game. My wife's like, "Are we going to stay up till midnight?" I'm like, I don't think so. We'll see.
We'll be up until midnight.
And then she made it sound like she wanted to stay up, and then she's like, "Well, good, then I'm going to go to bed early." I'm like, "But you just women, they're so fickle." Somebody hit the like button on the way out, please, because let's get up to 150. We're so close.
I agree with you, Mac. Hit the like button, please, if you have not already done so. Hope you all enjoy your New Year's. Hopefully you have fun plans tonight. If nothing else, you can watch some football, watch the Vikings beat the Packers, watch Jaren Hall, cement his legacy tonight. We can hope for the best. Thank you guys very much for hanging out, and hit the like button. Good luck tonight.